Hey, Scott, how you doing?
I'm doing good, man. It's good to meet you and good to talk to you.
Yeah, likewise. I was just talking to Paul, and he said to give you a call.
Oh yeah, so I've got an interesting story and an interesting picture, and this happened this past hunting season, and so we're from Louisiana, and I live in South Louisiana, right below Baton Rouge, and we have a family hunting lease, which is up in Central Louisiana. That's where our family's from, Gonzales, Louisiana. My sighting was of a Dogman and a Bigfoot at the same time in Kisatchie National Forest in north central Louisiana. And so my story is that I was hunting this past season in October and went into a blind, which is a ground blind. It's a box stand, and was sitting there looking at my cell phone. It was in the evening time, getting close to, I guess it was about 3 o'clock in the evening. And I have to look at the picture, see exactly what time it was, but it's on the picture. But anyways, I was sitting there looking at my phone, and the way the box stand is set up, I have a shooting lane in front of me. It's about 125 yards. The shooting lane to the right is probably about 65, and then the one to the left is about 75 yards. And what caught my attention was there was a piercing noise that came into my ear, and it was like a vibration noise, but it's kind of like if you have this buzzing noise in your ear, you know. And so that happened first. I was leaving my phone, so I was kind of like sticking my finger in my ear and rubbing my ear to see if that's what it was. And then my gun started. I had my 30-06 leaned up inside the box stand, and my gun started vibrating and moving down. I have to understand I have a 30-06. It's a 7400 Sportsman, and it has a rubber pad on it. And so what was really weird was that this thing started vibrating down. So I had my phone in my right hand. I went to go catch the gun with my left hand, and something moved to my left. Now, I had been scanning the area constantly for probably at least 30 minutes. I've been in a deer stand, so I kind of knew what was in the area and everything. I looked over, and I seen something, a dark figure. And I looked at it, and I said, wow, that's kind of weird. And then something like, I don't know what it was, but it just all of a sudden caught my eye. So I'm like, oh my God. So I took and I kind of figured out what it was as soon as I seen it. It was dark. It was squatted down, and the eyes were an orange red. And so I took my phone and moved it up real quickly and just snapped a picture and pulled it back down. And so I was looking at it. I reached over and grabbed some binoculars that I had, and picked the binoculars up and was trying to look through them. I really couldn't see that well through them either. It was kind of weird. It's kind of like I was fuzzy. And I was like, man, what happened? You know, it's kind of like I got zapped or something, you know, and it was like weird. And so, anyway, I took my gun, I picked it up, and I have a really nice scope on it. And so it's a, Redfield. And so I put the gun up to 30-06, and I had the Redfield scope, and I looked at it. And when I did that, the thing to the right, which I call a Dogman, is what it looks like in the picture, told me audibly, it said, if you keep the gun on me, or if you point the gun at me, so I'm going to come over there and tear that place apart and come eat you. And I'm like, what the hell? I said, this is kind of weird. So, first of all, I was freaked out because it wasn't a voice. It was like it telepathically told me that. And so I got shooken up then. I had a little backpack, and I had my gun and everything, so I just grabbed my gun and just kind of quickly walked out of there and got the hell out of there. I was looking back the whole time. I took my gun off of safety, and I'm looking back. So I started scooting on out there. Well, it was weird because I had to go to my right to get out of the place where I was at hunting, and I had to go back toward where they were and go straight again. And when I went back on that straight part, it's like 3 of them were following me. I could hear them walking next to me. They weren't that far away. When I say weren't that far away, they might have been 10 yards, 15 yards, maybe 20 at the most. I could hear them walking with me. So I had another cousin that was there, and they were in the woods with me, so I waited for them it was getting dark, and I just sat on my golf cart, and I was looking toward a direction, and I could hear them fumble around in there. They would move around, and I said, I just told them out loud, I said, if you come toward me, I said, I've got 2 magazines, and I've got 30 rounds, and I said, I will shoot every last one of y'all. But it's like they just stayed still after that. And my cousin came through, and when he came through, we cranked up and got out of there. And so that's basically the part of that story. So I have other stories that happen, and I knew for a while there was something there. The first experience I had in that was about 7 years ago. And the same cousin I went hunting with, he came through and we were running dogs at the time. And so there's certain times of year you can run dogs through. And so at that time of year we could run dogs through. And so he had some dogs and they came through and they were running toward me, and I could hear whatever it was I thought was a deer was running toward me. And so I got ready. I was actually on the fire break that they had over there. And then the dog stopped and turned around and went back toward him. I mean, he stopped barking and everything, stopped running and ran back toward him, and I could hear him going back the other way. And I said, man, it's something. So I'm waiting on it. I said, it's got to be a deer or something coming. So there again, I got my gun ready and I was waiting. Well, this is what made me go by the red field. I had a task on the gun at the time, and I started walking this fire break with something else caught my eye, and it was weird because they had a bunch of briars and vines and everything. But what was really weird was there was like a hole going straight through, and the hole was about 2 feet. And whatever it was, I could see. And it was all black, had a black face, like a coal black face, but it had like a snout on it. And the best way I could describe this thing was almost like a baboon look. And it was really, really weird. And it had coal black eyes. That's not seeing the eyes of it too. It had coal black eyes. And I'm looking at it like I'm talking to you right now. I can still see it. And so I got freaked out of that, and I boogied on out of there that time. Like I went on out. So I went back and he said, and my cousin kept questioning me. He said, "Did you see a deer?" I said, "If something ran toward me, it never did come out of the thicket." I said, "So whatever it is in the thicket," I said, "never would come out." He goes, "Man." And so that season I didn't get any deer or anything. But another thing that happened this past season, I'm going to go to some things that has happened to me that maybe get to where I'm at now. And so, I went on the internet, started looking, and I got on YouTube and started looking at all these different things where I found a site that had a guy by the name of Kiwani Lapsaritis.
Mm-hmm.
So I started watching all his videos of him and his wife Kelly. And so I started going into depth. I mean, I started at night, I watched every last one of their videos, and I started going to the things and how he would communicate with them and all that. And so this past year, a year ago, I started, when I go into the woods, I would, and another thing I would do when I hunting time, I would use that time to meditate, pray and stuff like that, and pray for the next year and all that. And so I would just kind of listen, and see if I could hear something from the Lord, But at that time I said, okay, I prayed to God before I went to the woods, and I would tell these beings or these creatures, I said, well, look, I know this is your land. You're here before I was. I said, I'm only here to deer hunt. And I said, all I want to get is a deer. And I said, I'm not here to hurt you or your family or anything else. I said, I'm just here to hunt. And so I'd gone in the woods. Well, last year I got a 5-point and I got a doe. Now the thing about the doe is every last time when I prayed, I'd do this every time I go into the woods. And so the first time I did that, I was on a stand in the bottom and 6 deer come toward me, at least 6. It may have been 7. It was kind of dark that morning, but anyways, I could see the light and I seen the deer. Well, they were actually kind of running toward me, So they stopped briefly right in front of me, and I shot one of the does, and they ran back, and they were going in circles and doing all kinds of stuff, but they ran out. So I got a deer that morning, but something had chased them toward me, which was kind of weird. It's kind of different,
Mm-hmm.
So the next thing that happened was I had a friend of mine. He's a police officer down here, and I took him hunting with me. So I talked to my cousin, and I said, yeah, bring him on. So let's see if we can get him a deer. So anyways, I put him in a box stand that was beside me. I got on the linen tube in that bottom, and he was on a ridge higher than me. And so he was up there, and this 5-point come running from my left from his direction. I said, that's kind of crazy. So I seen this deer running toward me, and it went to go to the left, and it cut back to the right and ran right behind me. When I did, I went ahead and shot it. So I texted him on my phone because it weren't that far away from me. He was on the other side of the ridge. I said, did you see that deer? And he said, he said, no. I'm like, that's kind of weird. I said, are you sure you didn't see that deer? So I just shot a 5-point. I said, you didn't see a deer? He said, no, he never saw it. But whatever it was, it chased that buck, and it was running toward me. And I say it was scooting along pretty good. Okay. And then, later on, I went back into this other box stand that he was in, And what was kind of strange was that I would do this every time I'd walk, and I'd do what Kwani said. And so I said, look, I'm here to hunt again. I said, you know, I'm just, this time I didn't shoot anything. But anyway, as I went and got into the box stand he was in. And I got there before daylight, and I could hear something walking behind me while I was sitting there. And all of a sudden, this stick hits the door right behind me where I'm sitting. So these box stands are basically shaped like a triangle. I mean, like a triangle, like a rectangle. And so this, whatever it was, threw a stick and hit me behind me. So I just told her, I said, look, I know you're here. I said, I know you're here, and I understand. Well, whatever it was walked behind me and kept on going inside. So those are the most recent things that I've had in that area. And like I say, it's in north central Louisiana. And it's really interesting, you know.
Yeah.
So I've had some other things that happened that I couldn't explain. One of the things was a few years before that, we was on the other side of this land where we hunt at and everything. There's a creek going down through there. And they have these little shrubs in our area over here, and they're small. They have small leaves on it, but the shrubs can get pretty big, and they get kind of taller and get real thick. And we were scoping out. It was in the beginning of the season, right at the beginning of October's during muzzle loading season down here. And so we were scoping out for deer tracks and everything else, and we was walking off in the woods. Well, something caught my eye. Was by this creek, and I seen this wallow, what I call a wallow. And it was like a dugout place. And I noticed there was hair in it. And I thought, man, that's kind of crazy. So I told my cousin, come here, come check this out. So it looks like something was laying down in here. He said, oh, yeah, it's probably hogs or something. I said, well, where's the prints at? But at the time, I wasn't looking for something that was bigger than 14 inches or 22 inches. You know, I wasn't even looking for that because that didn't even cross my mind. But what I seen was a wallow, probably at least 6 foot long, probably about 3 foot wide, like something had been laying down in there. I think one of them had been laying in there. That's what I think, because there were no hoof prints around there. Like you see, I know what deer prints look like. I know what hog prints look like, and it had no. I walked all the way around this thing and looked at it. And he just ignored it and kept on going. It's like he didn't even think about it. But what was crazy was I took this picture, and I'm going to send you the picture, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And when you see this picture, you're going to see the Bigfoot clear, and you're going to see the Dogman to the right. Now, I've just looked at it recently again, and I think I can see one by a pine tree to the left. I think that was 3 of them. And that one's pretty tall. I mean, it's real tall, you know?
Yeah.
So it's amazing. But one thing I can say is, if you go looking for these things, you're not going to find them. You have to understand that if they want you to know they're there, they're going to let you see them. Like I said, I've got a picture of both of them together, and this is really, really strange. It's strange, but it's amazing.
Could you describe kind of what that Dogman, or what it looked like, maybe what its legs, you know, whatever you could see?
The only thing you can see in the picture is, I'm gonna find a picture for you and send it to you right now. You can only see the head. That's all you can see. Now, the Bigfoot, you see it squatting down. It's squatted down.
No.
Right next to it.
Like, were you able to see more with your own eyes versus the picture? That's kind of what I meant.
Oh, yeah. You could see it clear. You can see both of them clear with my eyes now. I mean, the picture doesn't do it justice at all. And I'm going to tell you something that's really weird, okay? This is very, very weird. When I took this picture, it was clear as all get out. And the more I keep looking at it and sharing it, the more, like, it's weird, like the more fuzzy it gets.
That is weird. You still there?
Yeah. I'm here. I'm trying to send this picture to you now.
Okay, I just want to make sure I didn't screw it up.
Oh, no.
What the Dogman? Did you see its legs? Like,
no. All you can see is his face. This is all you can see.
Okay.
So I'm gonna send it to you. I have an iPhone. Do you have a phone? You can pull up the picture and look at it.
Yeah, you can send it to me after you're done. You don't have to send it now.
I'm sending it right now to you, so I want to be able to talk to you at the same time about this while you're looking at it, okay? I want you to see what I'm seeing.
Okay.
So you should get it in a second. So it should be coming to you. So
had you heard of it, any of these these guys in that area before, or was that kind of your first?
This wasn't my first thing. The first thing I seen was that thing that looked like a baboon. That was kind of weird. That was like 7 or 8 years ago.
Yeah.
Another thing happened in that same area was another one of my cousins. He's a police officer up there, and he and I went hunting, and he was in a climber. And so I was hunting in the box stand where I took this picture. And it's a ground blind, which is a box stand shaped like a rectangle. And there's 3 windows in it, and there's a door in the back. You walk in and out of it. And he was in the climber, and I heard him shooting. He shot a doe. So I went over, I texted him. I said, "There's a deer down." He said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, come on over. We'll get this deer out of here." So I went on over there. I met him. And when I walked over there to him, we started dragging the deer out. We heard something that sounded like people talking to the right of us. But it wasn't people talking. It was weird, like kind of like that, you know. Then we heard something whistle to the left-hand side of us. And he just said, "Oh, dadgummit." Said, "Them hunters all over us now." I said, "They're all around us now, you know."
Uh-huh.
And so, like I said, it's national forest. I mean, they could be around you, you know. But we have a lease that's in that area. We have a few acres in that one little area right there, but it's surrounded by national forest, and so it's pretty amazing, you know. But that's another thing that happened that's kind of weird. And when I showed this picture to my cousin that's up there, we were sitting talking last time we went up. Everybody had left, and I was sitting next to him. This night we was all fixing to go to sleep. You know, me and my wife go up there and stay with them. And he turned over and looked at me, and he said, "Scotty," he said, "I'm gonna tell you something." He said, he said, "Me and Bubba heard something." I said, "What you mean?" He said, "We heard something. We heard a howl." And he said, "It scared the daylights out of both of us." He said, "We haven't been back hunting since then." The one is 68 or 69 years old. I was like 70 years old.
So had they heard of this kind of stuff before, or was this new for them?
They won't talk about it.
Oh.
All the people that's up there before, like my dad's people and family and all that, they call these things hide-a-behinds. And so his uncle would always call it, it's my grandmother's sister's husband. He always called it a hide-a-behind.
Yeah.
But you never heard that before, huh?
No, that's new for me.
Yeah, so it's called hide-a-behind. And the reason they call them hide-a-behinds is because they hide behind trees and they peek around, you know?
Mm-hmm.
That's what he called it. It's just a country term. They call it a hide-a-behind.
Would you say that you kind of generally didn't feel threatened, or how did you feel?
I did not feel threatened at all until I pointed the gun at him. But when I did, that was it. That's when I got scared, and I felt fear come over me like I've never felt before. It's almost like I was trembling almost, you know, like I started shaking, and I was, all I could do was pick up the gun. Everything I do was pick up my backpack and just get out of there. But the whole time, I was praying to God, I said, "Lord, feet, don't fail me now," you know. I was gonna start praying to God, I get out of there, you know.
Yeah.
I was scared then, but before I wasn't scared at all. When I seen it, I was kind of puzzled, kind of like in shock, but I wasn't scared at all. I mean, zero. There was no fear in me at all, none whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
But until I pointed the gun at, when I pointed the gun on, then something was fixing to happen, you know.
Yeah.
So yes, sir, it's close.
Yeah. So, and the reason you think that it was the Dogman, you know, talking was because that's the one you pointed your
gun at, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I was putting my scope on the black thing first, and I seen it, so I was good. So I was moving around looking, and now when I pointed at it lit me up. He's like, "No, don't point that thing at me."
So could you see it a lot better when you put your scope on it versus your own 2 eyes?
Oh yeah. When I put my gun up on it, and I seen the Bigfoot for sure. When I seen that, I was like, "Oh my God, what in the world is this? I'm out of here." And I was like, I immediately, it told me that. I immediately took my gun, picked it up, grabbed my backpack, and I had my little backpack in my right hand, had my gun in my left hand, and then when I went out the door, I swapped them and put my rifle in my right hand because I'm right-handed, and I had my finger on the trigger and the safety off, and I was quick stepping it out of there fast. I didn't run, but I was quick stepping.
Now that Bigfoot face that you saw, like, how would you relate that to other ones you've maybe seen online, or like, was it more human-like, or, you know, what nose, or what kind of features or details do you remember?
More human to me. This one did not look like an ape at all. It didn't look like an ape. It looked more human to me. It looked I'm gonna be honest with you. I mean, I'm not being prejudiced or anything. It looked like a black person at first.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? It looked like a black man is what it looked like. It really did look like a black man is what it looked like.
Yeah.
And I thought it was a black man at first, but if you look at it, it's got a big nose, it's got big lips, got big eyes. Until I seen the eyes, I put my gun up, seen the orange eyes. I said, "Oh, a person don't have orange and red eyes." I said, "Oh, hell no, I'm out of here." I started shooting out there, Jordan. I was gone, bro. I was like, no.
Yeah.
I was gone, buddy.
I don't blame you.
I was gone. I got out as quick as I could because right after I picked my gun up, all this happened. Let me tell you something. All this happened within 2 minutes. I think the timestamp is on this. Did you see the timestamp on that picture I sent you, or don't have that?
It doesn't say, no.
Okay. Let me see okay. Well, actually, it's a little bit later than what I thought. Hold on. It was later. Okay. All right. I've got the timestamp at October 18th, 2019 at 6:04 in the evening. So it must have got dark about 6:30 or something like that, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
So it was right before dark. October 19th, and I got 6:04 in the evening. Is what it says on here.
Okay. It's really good that you thought to take that picture, though.
Well, it was weird because I'm sitting there facing the front. I'm sitting there playing on my phone. You know, I'm bored. I'm like, all right, well, no deer's coming out yet, so I just grab my phone, start playing around. You know, I'm looking stuff and everything. And when the ear thing hit me, I was like, what in the world is that? You know, it's like my head's going sideways, and I call it being zapped because it kind of. I don't know how to explain it. It just had this high frequency noise, kind of like a buzzing in your ear. You ever get that sometimes? Like you get a high frequency noise in your ear and you hear like a buzzing noise in your ear.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's what happened, but it's only on the left hand side. That's what made me turn to the left. It wasn't in my right ear; it was in my left ear. And it was like, that's kind of strange, man. And right after that, my gun started vibrating. I said, this was crazy. So my rifle started falling down. And what was weird was I didn't put all that together until I looked over to the left. And I said, why is my gun falling down when it's got a rubber? And I was like, this is kind of strange. I got a rubber buttstock on it. The gun's laying in the car. I said, well, maybe it's just moving, you know. So I don't know if maybe it's falling down. So I grabbed the gun so it wouldn't fall over, you know. And that's when I looked. And when I looked, that part of the woods had changed. And I seen the dark figure in it. And that's when I started looking at it. And I seen something move. When I did, I put my camera up real quick and just took a picture.
Yeah.
Real fast. But in the picture, I don't know, can you see this or not? But the top part of the picture, you should see a wood part of the stand in there. Do you see that?
Yes, I do see that.
So that's the deer stand I'm in. Isn't that crazy?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm in a box stand, and that's the part of the stand right there. So.
Wait, I mean, there's other questions I have too, but based on what you said, it sounds
Go
like,
ahead.
you know, it sounds like they weren't against you being there, you know, because
Oh no, they weren't trying to hurt me. I was just trying to figure them out, but they didn't like my approach I was taking at all. No, I've actually never had. Even when I seen the first thing, I never had anything threaten me. I've never felt threatened, like, okay, I need to get out of the woods. Something's trying to hurt me. I've never felt like, you know, sometimes you might get that feeling of your hair standing on the back of your head and all that. I never had that. Never had it one time. Not once.
Now, have you ever been back to this spot where you took the picture and kind of looked where these things were?
No, I haven't been back there since hunting season. And that's 3 hours away from where we live at. So, you understand what I'm saying? So it's 3 hours away from where we are. We live in South Louisiana below Baton Rouge, and this happened in North Central Louisiana. And so since then we've been kind of busy, you know, with life and everything. And I got to stay working and all that. So that's why. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just said
and, I just, be honest with you, I have been back to the hunting lease. And I did shoot a shot 8-point this year, so I went and had it, you know, mounted and all that. But I was in a different stand. But I never went back to that stand.
Okay.
Let me see when I shot. Hold on. Let me see when I shot. I got the picture of the deer too. I'm trying to figure out when I shot that deer.
Yeah, you could send me those too.
Oh, the deer?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, cool. I'll send it to you right now.
Yeah, put it in. And one thing I wanted to ask was, you kind of said your prayers, and
yes.
Now, were you saying those out loud, or were you saying them internally? And were you at home, or were you at the hunting property?
I was before. So going back to Kiwani Lapsaritis, I knew something was there, and so they always said that before you go into an area, that you pay homage to the forest beings that are there. So I said, okay, I'm going to do what I'm supposed to be doing. That way I don't have any issues with any of them, So I did. That's what I did. I actually, thank God first for me allowing to be there. So I thank God, who's my, my authority and my spiritual, and I thank Jesus for allowing me to be there. And then after that, I went to the people who actually live there, and that's the forest beings. And so I said, look, I'm here to hunt. I'm not here to hurt your family or anything. I'm just here to shoot deer, and that's it. And that was it, so I've been successful. That particular day, when I went that evening, same thing. I just thank them for me being there. So I think they're aware that I'm there, and I know that they're there,
Yeah, I mean, it's. I think it is helpful to do that because,
Well, if you have an experience with something in the woods and you know it's there, and I know these beings are I think they're people myself. I think they're first, the first people who were here. I think they were here before us. That's my thought on it. These things are highly, highly intelligent too, man. I mean, these things, Lord, because they're the best at hiding. You can talk to them telepathy like that, that you can just speak to them. And another experience I had that I'll tell you about well, I did go back into the area another time, but I'll tell you about the owls.
No.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about the owls for a second. And this is weird. And I didn't figure this out until the last time I went. That's the last time I went hunting. Was I had shot that 8-point, and then I went back again. And I was walking. This is really strange because that particular morning, there was a full moon. I didn't expect to see anything, which I didn't see anything, to be honest with you. But the full moon was bright white like a LED light, okay, and it was on the left-hand side, and I was walking down this fire break. And then on the right-hand side, the sun was coming up. So the right-hand side was like a normal light, a yellow light. And then on the left-hand side, it was like a white, bright light. It was on the other side. And I said, this is strange that morning. So it was just a weird morning. When I was walking to the stand, I got right to the stand and started climbing. I guess I made some noise, clacking and stuff and everything. So the sun was already trying to come. It was kind of late that morning. But I heard something that was two owls. It was, how do I describe it? It was like, ooh, ooh, ooh. And then it was ooh, ooh, like that. And it sounded like two owls. And then they were communicating each other. And I said, well, this is kind of strange. So I just went ahead and got my stand. And then I heard something running through the woods. So I thought it was a deer coming through the woods, going like that. So, well, the owls must have sounded off that deer, and that deer ran off. But then it was like something. It was like what they describe as a hoot or ooh, like that. But I thought it the whole time it was owls. But come to find out, I talked to another person, and this past week, and he told me that it was two females. What I heard.
Now, were they kind of bigger sounding, or deeper, louder?
Sounds just like two owls. What it sounded like to me.
Okay.
Exactly like two owls. Yep.
So say that that the other things never happened to you, and you just heard those two owls, you would just think those are two owls.
Yep. If I not talked to another person that's had the same experience and has a recording of it, and he sent me the recording, and it sounds just the same thing as what I heard.
Oh. Okay. Is that something you could send me to later?
I'll try to send it to you, sure. I'll try to send that to you.
Yeah, or just a search term and I'll find it. Because I'd like to hear that, just to...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. This guy's an admin on another site that they had. And so I reached out to him first. And he actually sent it to me. So, and I thought that was pretty interesting, So, yep, I thought it was really, really neat.
Yeah.
And he sent it to me now, and I listened to it, so I thought it was pretty cool.
So you're feeling pretty comfortable though, like overall, to go back out there and do your thing.
I don't feel threatened at all. I just know not to point. If I see them again, not to point a gun at them.
Right.
So, I've even had thoughts, George, to be honest with you, walk right up to one of them and see what would happen. Now, I don't know about that dog man. I don't know about the dog man. I don't know if I walk up to the dog man or not. But that Bigfoot, I don't think I'd have a problem walking right up to it. I'm trying to psych myself up if I do see another one to put my gun down and just walk right up to it.
Yeah, or maybe maybe you kind of just sit there and sometimes I know it's not the same, but I've come across dogs before, like a big pit bull or whatever, and I just sat down and turned my back, and it came right up to me. Right.
And I have thought about that too, is maybe if I just sit there and close my eyes and just put my hand out, to say, hey, I'm not here to harm you. I'm here to, just put your hand out and just see what happens, Like I said, I don't know if I trust that dog man or not. I don't know about that.
Right.
But the Bigfoot, I don't think I'd have a problem with it. I really don't, because it was almost like it was smiling at me. And I could see the face. It was really, like I said, it looked like a black person to me. It really did. The facial features and everything.
Did you see its teeth?
Nah, I never seen the teeth.
No.
All I seen was the lips.
But
I could see it almost like a smile on its face. And that's what I'm looking at. I'm closing my eyes and kind of remembering back and looking at it. I'm like, the thing was smiling at me, And it's kind of like me and you. Suppose me and you go into some neighborhood and we point a gun at somebody. What do you think they're going to do,
Yeah, I mean, they're probably not going to smile.
This one was smiling up to that point because it was just kind of squatted down and smiling at me. I'm like, what in the what's this black guy doing up in the woods? I'm like, this is the first thing I thought, and it was just because it was the everything was dark about it. But I'm thinking to myself, okay, if that's a black person, why they wearing a black suit, or you could see that the hair on it was all covered in black hair.
Yeah,
all of it, and it was pretty too. I mean, like you ever seen a black cat that had like long hair? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what it looked like. It looked like a black cat with long hair, and it's pretty coat on it,
Mm-hmm. So it looked kind of clean. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, it wasn't dirty at all. I didn't see no dirt on this thing at all. It looked clean, really clean.
Did the dog man? Did it have the kind of like the German Shepherd look, or the
yes,
snout?
Most definitely, yes. But it was big. When I say it was big, buddy, it was way bigger than. I'm trying to describe how big that darn head was. It was. Ooh, I'm kind of shaking right now thinking about that. I got the shakes. Almost as big as a watermelon, to be honest with you. Big. When I say big, like a wolf, like a big wolf. I've never seen a wolf in real life before, but I would say it was as big as a wolf, if not bigger.
Mm-hmm.
Big. When I say big, it was devil. That's when it got me freaked out, because as soon as I seen the Bigfoot, I like I said, I put my gun up and didn't have my finger on the trigger or anything. I was just scoping, just glass, and then I looked over and I seen that up and I'm like, what in the world is that? And that's when I seen the dog man. It's
also pretty rare and interesting that they were together at the same time.
I've been talking to a few people now, and I don't know if anybody else in America has a picture of both of them together. I really don't.
Mm-hmm.
So be selective about. Please don't give that out and don't show it to a lot of people. Okay, so I'm going to keep this private, but
yeah,
because somebody may try to take it and make money off of it or something. I don't want all that. I'm not about that. I'm just here to sharing my experience. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I was talking to Paul earlier, and I was saying, I said, I don't know of anybody. I said, you know of anybody else that has them together like that? And he said, no. I said,
Okay.
So I don't know. Just, I guess if you want to put on your site, you can, but just, I don't want nobody take it and say, oh, this is my picture and all that, and they come up with some stupid story,
Yeah. I won't.
Be selective about it. You put some kind of block or something where they can't take it or whatever. I don't know.
Well, I won't share the picture then. I'll just keep that to myself. Now, as far as us talking and your story, is it okay if I share that?
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, go ahead. I mean, you can if you want to post on your site, that's fine. That's cool. If you want to do that, I guess. I don't know. I just kind of, kind of nervous about the whole thing, you know?
Yeah. Well,
So,
I mean, I'll just honestly tell you, you know, I see so many of these pictures, you know, all day, every day. And, you know, it's kind of hard to make out. Like, I see things there, but, you know, I don't see clearly, like, you know, this is, you know, something that would be on a wanted poster. You know, you got to kind of look at it, and it kind of comes to you.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and even though it is really clear, you could see all the leaves, but I don't know what it is about these things that they don't really show up all the time.
No, that's what I told you. I mean, it's hard to for me, it's hard to comprehend. When I took that picture, George, it was clear as day. When I say it's clear, like my grandma sitting there, you know what I'm saying? It's just clear, okay? And then the more I try to do something with it, it's like it's not in focus, you know?
Yeah.
When I first took that thing, I showed everybody that day, and I'm like, what in the hell is that? And I'm like, what is that? I said, that's what I just seen out there, you know? And they were, what? I didn't tell them about the vibrating part and all that. I didn't tell them all. I just said, hey, I just took this picture, you know? And they're like, what is that, you know?
The one that looks, see, I'm looking at it right now. The one that's under it's right above the leaves, and then there's that bigger, thicker stick that's like going up to the left, and then it looks like a big head there, like
that's it. That's
like with a mask on or something, like some kind of cloth-looking thing. Like it's so strange.
That is the Bigfoot, I'm telling you. That's it.
Very strange.
Now you understand. Now you understand why I said I thought it was a black person at first.
Yeah.
Okay. Now keep it where you got it focused at. Now go straight across with that stick that's going down a little bit. Look right above it. You're gonna see the dog man.
Yeah, it seems like it's a little bit further back, maybe.
Yeah, it is. You can always see the face. I'm gonna send this one to you, George. Another one I did for you.
Okay.
And this one should be a lot clearer. I'll send this picture to you now. Now you'll be able to see both of them because I drew it in. I'll focus it in and then snap the picture, like, and then you take the picture again, you know? Mm-hmm. I'm going to send you another one. And you'll be able to see it, you know?
Okay.
Isn't that crazy?
It is. To see, for them to be so close, for you to be there with your phone and, you know.
Yep. Well, now you know I get kind of shaken up when I talk about it. I mean, my belly starts vibrating and shaking, you know, a little bit whenever, kind of like on a first date, you know? You can shakes and all that, you know, like if you can remember that far back when you met your wife, you know?
Right. It's a very strange feeling, you know, and then, yeah.
Now do you see it? Did you get the picture yet?
Let me see.
Yeah, pull it up and look at it. Okay,
here's more pictures. Let's see. Oh, somebody just sent me a message. Who are you? It was the wrong number that I texted somebody else.
Oh, yeah. Sorry about that. Yeah, Paul probably gave you the wrong number.
Yeah, he did. That's all right.
Yeah, it's all good.
It's downloading now. Oh, there's a nice buck you got there. I see those.
Yes, sir. So I have that thing mounted now. That's on my wall.
And you're kind of thinking that you got an assist from your friends in the woods on this one.
Not on that one. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
That deer was walking up to me. When it came up to me, it was just walking up to me, and it was same thing. I'm playing on my phone again, and also look up. Oh my God, there's a deer! Shot it. I'm a little ADD, if you can tell. So I'm like, I got to have something to do, you know. So I'm like sitting down, looking around, looking a scan. Oh, I got another story for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh my God, here we go. So this is even crazier. So I went one morning where I shot that buck at right there. Okay, I sent you a picture of, and this was before, so probably the day before that or whatever. Because I usually go on like a Friday and a Saturday, and I go hunt. But I've seen some flashes going through the woods. I'm like, what the heck was I just went by? And I'm wondering if they were cloaking going in front of me. And this one shot that I have is like 175 yards in front of me, okay? It's a shooting lane that goes all the way down to this bottom. I kept seeing these flashes go by, and it did about 3 times. And then what was weird was I could look to my right, and I seen something over there, but I couldn't make out what it was, you know, and it was kind of like moving over there. And I wonder if they cloaked and ran in front of me.
Mm. But they just kind of like flashes of light, or were they balls of light?
Yeah,
or?
yeah. Okay, I'm gonna explain. Like, this thing is like a ghost. It was like a ghost going in front of me. I wasn't close now. It was down at the bottom. It was going across. I'm like, what the heck is this? I said, it's some kind of ghost, some Indian ghost or something. Because not far from where we hunt at, I heard there's a Indian burial mound or something over there. Some kind of burial mound.
Yeah, and a lot of people see weird lights too, right in the same areas. So
yep,
it might be them. You know.
I don't know. Either cloaking or it wasn't a smoky thing. This was like a flash. It was almost like a clear flash. It was going by, and I was like, what in the world is that? You know? So let me ask you about this. Have you heard of the story of Taylor, Mississippi, and a Dogman?
I have heard stories, but you could tell me what you know. What you
okay? What I've seen on the internet, what I've heard was that there was a guy that was working electrical lines in a certain area in Taylor, Mississippi. And he could hear something coming through the woods. And so he's up on his bucket truck, and they had a storm go through, and he's working on it, okay, on the lines, trying to put them back together and everything. And all of a sudden, the wire starts shaking. So he's like 20 feet up in the air, whatever it is, okay? And all of a sudden, he looks down there, and he sees something pushing on the telephone pole down there.
Mm.
Now, according to his story, he left his phone and everything downstairs. He left it in the truck. So he had to lower the bucket, get in the truck, and get out of there. He had left his phone and his radio in there. So anyways, he called for some backup. And him and another guy showed up over there, and then they both left. And I think they went to go get something to eat or a cup of coffee afterwards. And the guy told him, he said, yeah, there's some things going on in that area. Be careful.
Yeah, there's quite a few stories from that town.
And then I want you to go look at something else. It's called the Rougarou of Louisiana. You ever heard of that?
Yes.
Okay, so there's a one that you're going to see. This thing has yellow eyes. Go look up on the internet, and you're going to see it. And what it is, it's called bow fishing in the Rougarou in Louisiana.
Okay.
And to go back and research that and look at it. And this guy, he has some language in it and everything, but you can tell he's definitely a Cajun from that area. And he says, we're bow fishing. He said, there's a dog man over there. And he said, the Rougarou is what he says. There's a Rougarou over there. And he said, and you got to watch it. It's about maybe 6 minutes or something like that long, maybe 3 minutes. But anyways, he spans over with his cell phone, and you can see the yellow eyes.
Hmm.
Yes. There's another story that this guy put out, some other guy. You ever heard of the site called Dark Waters?
Yes.
Okay, so this guy's from New Orleans. And if you get to his site, you'll see some more stuff on there. But there's a thing about a guy leaving Arkansas, had heard about this below Morgan City. There's an island out there. And so he stayed around there for a little while, and finally this one guy said, you looking for the Rougarou? He said, yeah, this young guy. And he said, I'm going to show you where to go at. So he told him where to go at. He rented a boat, went out there. He said nothing happened till right before dark, and all of a sudden he started seeing these things. And he said these creatures came into the water and came after him. He cranked the boat and went back to the landing. He said he did not stop driving until he reached his house.
Hmm. Yeah, there's a lot of activity down there.
Oh yeah. Well, you got a picture of one right there. Like I said, I don't trust these things. I don't trust the dog man. I think they're more prone to attack than the Bigfoot will. So I don't know what the connection is. I haven't put that together yet. I don't know.
Yeah, well, it was interesting though with your experience, that they were together, and they just kind of gave you that, maybe not verbal, but that warning, like, hey, that's not a good idea.
It was straight telepathy. It was straight to my brain, and it told me straight up. And the best way I can explain it was, if you don't put the gun down, I'm going to come over there and eat you and kill you. I was like, oh crap, let me get out of here. What was weird was, once I got away from them, I was shaking the whole time. Okay, so I'm shaking like on a first date or something. I mean, I got the jitters. And I'm not running because I remember in the back of my mind, don't run, because they may come after you. So I said, all right, because it's too much fear. So I just grabbed my stuff and walked out. But the whole time I'm walking forwards and I'm looking back. I'm walking forward, looking at my left shoulder. I'm looking back. And they never followed me on the trail that I'm going out. It's a 4-wheel trail going through there, okay? They never followed me out. But when I turned back left and started following this way out, these things parallel followed me on the side of me. And to be honest with you, I was too scared to look to the left. I ain't gonna lie to you. I was scared to death.
I don't blame you. Yeah.
And I was like, I wanted to look, but I didn't. But I had my finger on the trigger, and I said, if I hear something move, I'm just going to turn and shoot, you know. And it was getting dark by then, you know. So I was like, oh, man, I don't know. I was like, oh, my God. But I could hear them rustling around. And not far again from me. I'm talking 20 yards from me, 25 yards from me. I could hear them rustling around. And I was parked in a food plot right there. And so, on the edge of the food plot, we don't park in the middle of it. It was on the side of it. And I had to wait on my cousin to come out. So he came out with his 4-wheel, and we cranked up and got on out of there.
Mm-hmm. I think you did the right thing.
Oh, yeah. I was like, I told him straight up. I said, look, I said out loud, I said, I know you're in there. You know I'm here, and I'm going to tell you this. I got a gun. I got plenty of bullets. And I said, I got 30 rounds with me. I said, I will not stop shooting. I said, don't come after me because I'm going to shoot you. And
another thing, too, like they didn't, things that they didn't do, they didn't scream, show their teeth. No. They didn't throw anything at you. You know, they
Nope.
just kind of gave you that message.
Nope, not that time. But when I went to that other box stand, we have 3 box stands in that area, like 3 or 4 of them, and we have leaning tubes also. But, did I tell you about the other time I walked to the leaning tube and something got up and walked away from me?
No.
Okay, let's go over that one. So that's another story I got for you. Wow, I've got a couple, and it's all coming back to me now. So, anyways, before we put the one box stand that I shot that buck out of, I had to go around this one trail and then go down a ridge and down into a bottom. And so that particular morning, it was cold. Nobody else wanted to go. It was probably about 35 degrees, something like that, 34 degrees, something. But it was right at freezing. And I couldn't get nobody to go into the woods. It was cold driving in. It was really cold. But I said, nope, I'm going to give it a shot. I'm going to go ahead and go do it. So anyways, I had my rifle with me, and I went out to that one leaning tube. Well, again, nothing moves until you start climbing into the leaning tube, okay? And that's when they start moving, getting up. Well, anyways, I climbed up in the leaning tube, and I sat down. When I sat down, I heard something, and this is the time that the hair stood up on my back, my neck, everything. I'm like, what in the world is this? I'm like, oh, my God. And I was looking toward that area. But something got up. It was further up the hill on the ridge, and it got up and walked away from it.
Mm.
So we put that box stand in that I'm telling you about. I shot this deer at, but we had to go through. We had to make a trail with the bush hog. So we cut all that and made a trail going through it. Well, come to find out, when we made that trail, I was walking that area, and I just remembered. I said, wait a minute, let me go check this thing out. So I started walking over, and I found out where this thing was bedding down. It was like a tree that had long limbs on the bottom of it, and something had been sleeping up under there. And this is the weird part, okay? It was around September, around Labor Day, okay? We went into the woods, and I smelled something that smelled like it was dead. And like something got run over, something dead or something like that. You know, you smell something dead that died in the woods.
Mm-hmm.
And so I asked my cousin, I said, well, what is that smell? I said, y'all smell it? I said, yeah, it's strong. It's real strong. It smelled like something dead. They said, yeah. He said, well, one of my cousins went into the woods with his dog, and he said the dog never come out of the woods. So we think he's old. He just died out there, you know. So I said, oh, okay.
Mm.
I said, and that was on a Saturday, okay? Well, they don't work on Sundays up there, okay? And I was off for the whole weekend until Labor Day, which is a Monday. So I said, well, all right. So we went back Monday, and we drug the box stand to that area, and we blocked it all up and everything, made level, and I helped them with all that. And something just told me, said, you smell anything dead? I'm like, I started smelling. So I asked my cousin, I said, you smell anything? He said, no. I said, that's kind of strange, huh? That's kind of strange. He said, yeah. He said, that is strange. But I said, well, if something's dead, it's going to still be here dead. Oh, did I tell you about the footprint, too?
Mm-hmm. No, go ahead.
Okay. So I'll just come back. I got to send you another picture. I'm going to send you another picture of the footprint.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is the Dogman footprint. So I went riding around the lease that day and was looking all around where our things were. And I just happened to go to this one thing, and I seen this this deep impression in the pine straw. So I got out and I started walking over there, and I have a golf cart. That's where I go hunting at, right? So I ride around this golf cart. So anyways, I went over there and I put my foot next to it. I'm like, what in the world is this? So, anyways, I put my foot next to it and everything, and there was a long print. I'm like, my God, what in the world is this thing here? I went and got my cousin, brought him out there, and I said, here, take a look at this.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, I don't know what that is. He said, why is there only one footprint? I said, well, I don't know about this. I don't know what is a footprint. I said, but it's just one. He said, I don't know what that is. He said, don't make nothing of that. So I said, oh, no, it is something. I said, what the heck is this right here, you know? So anyways, I couldn't wrap my mind around or anything. So anyway, I went back to Kawani's thing. I started watching some more videos. And this past year, I found this one lady, and she's originally from Iowa. Her name is Sue something or other, and she married this guy somewhere over in Arizona or New Mexico or something like that. And so she talked about them being multidimensional. And she said, why are people finding like 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 footprints? They don't find any more footprints. She said, what happens? They step out of the dimension and come back in.
Hmm.
And so I said, well, this probably makes sense. It was probably running from us with that bush hog. And I said, it was bush hogging all that day. And that's probably what happened.
It could be.
And so that's another thing I believe is they're multidimensional. Wait a minute, I'm going to send you another picture. I got this is funny. I got all these pictures I'm going to send you.
Okay.
So here's another. I'm going to send you 2 more pictures. Okay. So there is going into the lease and all that, you're going to see that there's an oak tree that's bent over, but it's not, it's you know, you take a limb and just bend it and it breaks.
Mm-hmm.
So look at this picture here. This one's going to trip you out. This is an oak tree. And then look at all the pine trees around there, okay? Look at all the pine trees around. There are no pine trees at all down. But something grabbed this thing and bent it over and popped it. It didn't break it all the way because the tree, the oak tree at the top of it's still alive. And if you take the oak tree and expand it, you're going to see where something bent it and broke it.
Yeah, I see those a lot.
And this is it's way taller. I mean, I couldn't reach up and touch that thing. So it's probably about what you're looking at is about 8 foot tall. Okay. Okay.
Now that hunting lease, have you guys had that for a while, or did you get it?
Oh yeah, we've had it for a few years. We've had it. I don't know how many years now. It's probably about 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
So we used to hunt above there, close to Winfield, is where we were close to. We used to hunt up there. We hunt a little bit south of there now.
Did you get a good deal on it?
Sir?
Did you get a good deal on it? Was it a?
Oh yeah, we just paid. Actually, we just basically pay the taxes on it. Somebody owns it. We pay the taxes every year on it.
Okay. I just wondered if somebody wanted to get rid of it. You know, sometimes that happens. You know, if there's things going on there.
We don't say anything. I haven't said anything to anybody. I won't tell anybody about this. I don't know. I'll even disclose it to you where it's at. So, but anyways, because anybody goes over there, my family's going to see them going around that area, and they're going to go question them about things. So, But anyways, where was I going with this? Oh, we used to hunt up in a little town called Sykes, Louisiana, and it's in north central Louisiana, also on the east side of Winfield. And I've had some experiences up there too. These were with coyotes. The coyotes were up there howling and making noise and all that. And they were to the left a little bit. And Weyerhaeuser, we had a lease with Weyerhaeuser, so they owned that land. It was like 200-something acres that we had. I'd never seen that whole lease. It was huge. And there was something in the woods then because the coyotes were going crazy and something was coming toward me. And I was in a box stand off the ground. And I could see something over there, but I couldn't make out what it was. But it wasn't a deer. It was something coming toward me too. Mm-hmm. But it never got close to me. It stayed about 100 yards away from me.
Okay. Yeah, I'm looking at your print here. You could definitely tell that's.
Isn't that something?
Yeah.
To me, it looks like a Dogman print.
It's kind of narrow, but long.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying it. The point of it has some toes like on it, but it's long and narrow.
Yeah.
You have to play with that picture too, opening it out. Then look at the next picture. It comes in. You're going to see the tree, the oak tree. It's a young oak tree that's bent over. And my cousin is the cop up there. I talked him riding, and we would rode around. I started telling him about things, and he don't believe nothing I say either. He's just kind of like, wow, whatever, you know. And so I said, come here, I'm going to show you this tree. I said, look at all these pine trees around. If y'all had a storm come through here, it would break the pine tree first. because they'll snap easier than an oak tree will. And so I went over to a little twig right next to where he was sitting at, and I bent it over and I popped it, and it was still part of it, still halfway, there. I said, something did that to that. And I asked him, I said, what is going to reach up 8 foot in the air and break this thing over?
Right.
And
Yeah.
he looked at me, and like I said, he's a cop. He had to do investigation and stuff like that, right? He's like, I don't know. That's all he said.
Mm-hmm.
He said, all right, let's go back to the houses. Let's get out of here. So I said, okay. So I turned around and left out. Isn't that funny?
It is. Well, I'm glad you guys are, still nothing bad has really happened, and
I don't know if it will. I don't think it will. But I mean, my cousin and they go in and out of there all the time, and they check on that area and all that. Like I said, we put food plots in there. We work the land and all that on that lease and all that. And so it's active. There's also another place. That's something else I want to tell you too. You know how you grit your teeth?
Yeah.
Like you go, I'm gonna make a noise and see if you can hear on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
You hear that?
Yeah.
Something extremely freaking loud ran. This was one time they did it on me out of the woods. Now something was doing that, and I was on the lean-to at that bottom, and then something ran me out of the woods because I was looking back the whole time and I heard that, and it was in a thicket, and it did that to me, and I got out of the woods then. When I say it was loud, it echoed through the freaking woods, man. It was loud, 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 and it was grinding its teeth, and I got out of there.
You think it was teeth, or do you think it was a rock, or what do you think it was?
It sounded like teeth, because I can make same noise with my teeth, and it does that.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't sound like a rock. It didn't have that tone. A rock is going to have a rough noise to it if you rub two rocks together, right?
Yeah.
This didn't do that at all. It was straight up sound like teeth. I was like, what in the heck is that grinding teeth down there? So my other cousin, he was listening to the conversation and all that, and he hunts in that area too, but not with us, another cousin. And he said, Scott, he said, I really think that's hogs. And I said, well, yeah, I can agree with that. But I said, I didn't see any hogs. Hogs usually come out. He said, well, sometimes they'll bed down and do that. I said, oh, okay, all right, maybe it's hogs. So I'm going to tell you this, a hog don't give you a feeling like the hair stands up on the back of your neck, okay?
Right.
But it's in the same area where we put that box down and I shot this deer that I sent the picture of it to you where something was bedded down.
Yeah, and it's just one of those things, you have all this other experiences, so if you're getting that feeling that it's something not normal, then that's probably right,
Yep. And like I said, when I got that feeling, it wasn't dark yet, but I got out of there. I just I said, I don't know what this is, but I said, whatever it is, it's loud enough to project that noise all through the woods. And I said, oh, no, I'm gone. I'm out of here. I didn't know what it was, but it's been really active I'm going to say the last 3 years. It's very, very, very active, but they went and clear cut all the timber through there. When I say they clear cut, they actually cut, it's kind of hard to explain, but they cut like rows of trees. They left rows of trees, probably about 20 or 30 feet apart, but they made rows. Like all the trees up there now are in rows. That they came through and clear cut. They cleared all the trees out except for these trees are in rows, and they're all over the place like that now.
Okay.
Like you would make a garden, but it's made with tall pine trees, real tall pine trees.
Yeah, it looks really, really thick in there from the pictures.
Yep.
Well,
our hunting lease is where you see in the national forest is where the thinner stuff is. If you see anything like that, that's the national forest going to the lease. Then our lease is thick. Our lease is real thick. It's privately owned. But they told us they're going to go in and cut it the next couple of years. We don't know when. They wouldn't tell us. But they just said, we'll let you know when. So
okay.
I said, all right. Sounds good, man. But other than that, I keep asking them questions every time I go up. Y'all hear anything? You see anything? They're like, no, only my one cousin. He's pretty straight up, okay? So he's an honest guy and everything. He told me, he said, Scotty, we heard something. He said, my brother-in-law's not going to tell you, but I'm going to tell you. We heard something. I said, what did it sound like? He said, it sounded like a howl.
Mm-hmm.
So like a howl, like a whoop or something? He said, well, all I can say it was like a scream and a howl. So I said, it was a scream and a howl too? He said, oh yeah. It was like a scream. He said, we both got out of there. He said, we couldn't get out of there fast enough. And he said, as far as I know, neither one of us have been back since.
So they know too. They just kind of don't really talk about it much.
Nope, they don't talk about it. And that's a lot that goes on. Like I said, you know, one of my cousins, her husband is a preacher. And not long ago, she texted me because I told him about what I'd seen and everything. And so she said, well, you know, my daddy said, your uncle, my daddy used to call it a hide behind. I said, why do you think I was talking to her. So why do you think they said that? She said, well, they would hide behind stuff, you know, called it hide behind. She said, we always thought he was joking with us, but it must be some truth to that.
Mm-hmm.
So my family lived on this land since the 1900s. My great-grandfather was from Texas originally and left Texas. And actually the story I got was him and his sister came down here first, and they followed the logging industry. And so there was a logging group that came through, and so he got on a train and came down this way from Texas. So somehow or other rode the train down, and they settled in that area right above Alexandria. And so that's where they lived at, north central Louisiana, above Alexandria, Louisiana.
Yeah, and I'm sure they've, you know, had their own experiences, you know, long ago.
Yep, I don't know, but the land where all of our family, where our land is, and where my first cousin and stuff, or my dad's first cousin, be our second cousin, whatever. But all that was owned by my great grandfather. And then the land where we hunted at now, where our lease is, was my great aunt. It was his sister. It was her land, but somebody else bought it, and they own it now. So it's not in our family anymore. Somebody else has it.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, you'll have to keep me posted how it goes this year. You know, if you get anything crazy, let me know.
Oh yeah, I definitely will, George. It was good talking to you, and I don't want to keep you up no later, but if I can think of, I'll have one more story for you. And did I tell you about my grandmother, about staying at her house?
No, go ahead. Okay,
so I got one more story, and I think this is where it all started at. And I just told my wife earlier, I said, I really want to go see a hypnotist to see if they can hypnotize me and put me under, and then go back to that time where I've seen something. So my grandmother, they grew up very, very poor. When I say very poor, very extremely poor. And my grandfather during this time, he worked with, they had a old campground. Now, there was an army camp down here. It was called Camp Claiborne. And so all up in this area around Alexandria, how they did maneuvers, and Patton would come up in this area, and Patton was in this area training all the troops before they went to war. But my grandfather worked at the army base there, and so he did whatever, you know. And then my grandmother, she watched some old people that lived down the road from her. Well, the old people told her, said, if we'll give you that piece of land right there, and we'll build you a house. And so what they did was they went and cut some big logs, and they built a house out of some rough cut wood, you know, straight wood. And they built them a small house right there. Well, my mom and my uncles and all that grew up in that house and everything. And I didn't believe it, but they told me stories about having holes in the roof and putting buckets all over the place and catching the rain. Well, 2 years ago, my uncle, he passed away, and so we went over there, and they had clear cut around that area too, where they knocked that old house down, part of it that my mom and grew up in. And the rafters in it and the joists were actually made of just pine trees, like round logs. They still had the pine on them. And this thing was old, man. I'll say if thing's old, good God, it was probably built in the 40s. I would actually guess in the 40s or something like that, because I think they might have been married in 37 or something like that, or 38. So it had to be in the 40s or something like that. You know, and this old house was old. And the bricks they had it looked like they were natural bricks that they had made to make a fireplace out of. And I remember that when I was little, that house was very, very cold and stuff, you know, wintertime and all that. But during summertime, we would go up there, and then my mom would let me stay with her for a week. She'd come back the following weekend and pick me up, you know. So this one particular time I was staying with, I can't remember how old it was. I was probably 7 or 8 or something like that. But I stayed with my grandma. I wanted to stay behind with her, help her out with the chores and all that stuff. And so I stayed there with her, and I'm a very light sleeper. And in the middle of the night, something walked up to the window and was looking in. And so I woke up and I seen it. I heard something outside moving around. And like I say, it's out in the middle of the woods, very, very thick up in that area. And she had an old wooden window. Well, she had electricity, but she didn't have no air conditioner or anything like that. All they had was old fans and stuff, you know, and that was it. And I remember the windows being open. It was cool at night, so she opened up all the windows. She didn't have to worry about nobody coming around because there wasn't nobody out there. It was out in the middle of nowhere. And I remember seeing something in the window, but I can't remember exactly what it is. But I remember jumping up out of my bed that I was next to her and jumping to bed with her, and she screamed and hollered. And and I told her I said, Grandma, I've seen something in the window. I said, somebody was standing in the window.
Huh.
So I still can remember that. So
Mm-hmm.
I told my wife, I told her, I want to be hypnotized and go back to that time. I want you to record me. And she wasn't too fond of the idea, but I still want to do it. Let somebody record me and tell me what I've seen in that window.
Yeah. What did your grandma have to say about that?
Nah, tell me just go back to sleep. She was like, be quiet, boy, and go back to sleep. And I was in the bed with her then, and she didn't like that either. You know, she wanted to sleep by herself and all that.
Right.
But anyways, I jumped into bed with her, woke her up, so she was a little upset. But she had a kind heart. But I think that these creatures pick you. I don't think you pick them. I think they pick you, and that's where my first experience. Well, I think that was my very first experience in seeing one of these things because it scared me so bad. If it had been a normal person or something like that, or a cow or something walking through the woods, but they have, you know, open range and stuff. If it had been something like that, then I'd have looked through and I'd have seen it, you know, and I said it's just a cow or something, went back to sleep. But whatever it was made me jump from the bed I was in into the bed with her. And I jumped on top of her and woke her up and all that.
I mean, it could be that you know, have had a connection since you were young.
I think so. I really do. And I think they know that connection too. I really do.
Yeah.
Like I said, I really want to be hypnotized and go back just for that one time. I don't even remember anything else in my childhood or life, but I'd like to remember that. You know, what that was.
Might get more details out of things,
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Oh, yeah, because I can see it clear then. You know, go back in my mind and see it.
Mm-hmm.
I can kind of see it now, but it's fuzzy. It's really funny. That was a long time ago now.
Yeah.
So, hi, George. Well, look, it was great talking to you. And call me back if you want any time. If anything else happens, I'll let you know, okay?
Yes, sir. Thanks a lot for sharing your stories with me. That's really...
Okay, I appreciate it. And it's great talking to you, okay?
You too. Okay.
Hi, buddy. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.